Sometimes I swear the news, it's like ripped straight out of some crazy movie.
It can be pretty wild out there.
I just saw this headline, right? And it said Elon Musk is shutting down USAID
Hmm.
with Trump's blessing. Like it's almost, I don't even know, it's almost too much to handle.
It's definitely a dramatic turn of events.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I had to like dig in. I was like, how did we even get to this point? This is crazy.
Well, I think to really kind of unpack it, we got to look back to what went down just this past weekend at USAID headquarters.
Okay.
You had these two top security officials who were just like, out of nowhere, removed.
And what? Why? What did they do?
So they were refusing to allow these representatives from Elon Musk's team access to like these really secure areas.
Oh, wait. Elon Musk's team? Like,
Yeah.
is this a bunch of like SpaceX dudes doing side work as government agents? What are we talking about here?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting, right? So it's not like the SpaceX crew. No, these were actually folks from something called the Department of Government Efficiency,
Okay.
which, has this catchy little acronym, DOGE.
UGE. Like, are they serious?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Like, that's the name. Fine.
Yeah.
But what gives them the authority to just like waltz into USIA and demand access to all this sensitive stuff?
It's a good question, and a lot of folks are asking that same question. It's worth pointing out that this isn't, their first time at the rodeo, so to speak.
Yeah.
DOGE has been involved in kind of similar shakeups at other agencies, like, the Office of Personnel Management, the General Services Administration.
I know.
So we're starting to see a bit of a pattern emerge here, and it's suggesting that DOGE, especially with Musk at the helm, is gaining some serious power.
Okay, so back to this whole security standoff. I read that these DOGE folks, some of them, they didn't even have the right security clearances.
Mhm.
And they basically barged in. Like, they just demanded access to everything. They even, like, threatened to bring in federal marshals when the staff tried to stop them.
Oh, wow.
I mean, doesn't that sound more like a heist movie than a government efficiency review?
You're absolutely right to point that out, that it was unusual, to say the least. And it doesn't seem like protocol was really followed here, despite some claims from a DOGE spokeswoman, Katie Miller,
Okay.
who said that, no classified material was actually accessed without the proper clearances. So the whole thing's raising some pretty serious questions about, transparency, due process. Like, what's really going on here?
Yeah, totally. And then there's Musk himself, who's, not exactly been quiet about his feelings about USA. He's called it evil, a viper's nest of radical left Marxists, even a criminal organization.
Yikes.
I mean, those are some pretty strong words.
Yeah, his language is definitely inflammatory. He during this X-Space live stream, he went even further and said, USA is a ball of worms. There is no apple. It's got to go. It's beyond repair.
Oh, wow.
And it's striking because he's not really offering any concrete evidence of wrongdoing. He's just using these really, really charged accusations. And that's a tactic, It's to undermine public trust without actually needing any proof.
So what is the plan here? Is this just Musk going rogue, or is there something bigger going on?
It's hard to say for sure, but it's pretty clear that this isn't just about like government efficiency. I mean, this is a power struggle, and the stakes are really high. I mean, what Musk and DOGE are doing, it's raising serious concerns about, accountability and the potential for abuse of power.
And, it's important to remember, like, what's actually at stake here. We're not just talking about some, random agency. USAID, they play a massive role in humanitarian assistance, global development. This is a big deal.
You're absolutely right. It's easy to get caught up in all the drama, the political stuff.
Yeah.
But we can't lose sight of the real impact of USAID's work. We're talking about an organization with a like $40 billion budget. They operate in over 100 countries.
Okay, so for those of us who maybe haven't been following USAID's work like super closely, could you just give us like a quick rundown of what they actually do?
Sure. I mean, in the simplest terms, USAID is like the leading U.S. government agency responsible for helping end extreme poverty globally,
Yeah.
and supporting countries in becoming more resilient, more democratic.
Okay.
And they do this through like a whole bunch of different programs. But, the focus is on things like providing humanitarian assistance during crises,
Okay.
improving healthcare, education, promoting economic growth, advancing human rights.
Uh-huh.
A lot of really important stuff.
So they're basically like working to address some of the world's biggest problems.
Exactly. Think about it like this. If there's a massive earthquake in a developing country, USAID is often like the first one on the scene. providing emergency relief, food, water, shelter.
Wow.
They also work on these longer-term development projects,
Mhm.
helping farmers increase their crop yields or supporting communities and building schools and hospitals.
It's hard to imagine anyone, like, arguing against those kinds of efforts, like helping people in need. You'd think that would be something everyone could, like, support.
You'd think so, right? But this is where the political side of the story comes into play.
Okay.
You see, while USAID has historically enjoyed support from both sides of the aisle, there's this segment that sees foreign aid as like wasteful.
Right.
They think that America should really focus on its own interests first and foremost.
So you're saying this whole situation with USAID, this could be part of a larger strategy to, like, shrink the government's role in global affairs, like a shift inward.
It's certainly a possibility we need to consider. We know that the America First ideology has gained a lot of traction over the last few years. And
Yeah.
some folks who believe in that, they see foreign aid as this drain on American resources, money that they say could be better spent at home.
Right, right. And Musk, with his statements about USAID being this ball of worms and a criminal organization, it seems like he's tapping into that sentiment. But
Yeah.
I mean, again, like, we haven't seen any, like, real evidence to back those claims up, have we?
Not publicly, no. It seems like Musk's accusations they're based more on like his personal beliefs rather than any verifiable proof of wrongdoing. So that's what makes this a little bit concerning. Is this really about reforming USA, or is there something else going on?
It's a little unsettling to think that the fate of such a crucial agency could just, like, hinge on the opinions of one person, no matter how influential they might be.
Mhm.
That's why this situation it's so important. We
Yeah.
need to be asking the tough questions, like why are they really doing this? What are the consequences if they actually dismantle USAID? And is this even like legal? Are they following the proper procedures? you
Yeah,
know.
definitely. And speaking of consequences, I'm curious about the potential fallout
Mm.
if USAID were to actually disappear. Like, what kind of
Yeah.
impact would that have on the world?
Oh, the ramifications would be huge. We're talking about millions of people rely on USAID for essential assistance.
Mhm.
Everything from, food, clean water, to support for healthcare and education.
Mhm.
If those programs were to be disrupted, it wouldn't just cause like immediate hardship, it could like undermine years of progress in developing countries.
So we're talking about setting back global efforts to combat poverty, improve health, promote stability.
That's exactly right. The ripple effects, they'd be felt all over the world. I mean, imagine a country that's struggling to contain a deadly disease. USA often plays a like vital role, providing medical supplies, training healthcare workers, helping to stop the spread of the disease.
Yeah.
And without that support, things could easily spiral out of control and we could end up with a like global health crisis on our hands.
It's kind of a scary thought. It makes this whole situation feel even more, like, urgent. Like, we can't just sit here and watch as these decisions that have such massive consequences are made without anyone holding them accountable.
You're absolutely right.
So-
This isn't just about USA.
Yeah.
It's about America's role in the world, and in the kind of impact we want to have.
It's a reminder that staying informed, staying engaged, it's more important than ever. We can't let crucial decisions about foreign aid and global engagement just
Yeah.
happen, like, behind the scenes.
I couldn't agree more. We need to demand transparency from our leaders, hold them accountable for what they do, and make our voices heard on these really important issues.
And speaking of things happening behind the scenes, what about USAID's sudden disappearance from, like, the internet? Over the weekend, their website went down, their social media on X and Instagram just gone. Poof.
Yeah, that's a new development that adds another layer of mystery to this already really strange situation. I mean, it makes you wonder, was this intentional, Like, are they trying to control the narrative,
Mhm.
to stop USAID from communicating with the public?
Or could it just be some technical difficulties,
Yeah.
with everything that's going on?
I mean, that's possible, I guess, but the timing it's pretty suspicious, don't you think? It's hard not to wonder if there's a like deliberate effort to silence USAID,
Right.
to keep them from sharing their side of the story.
It does feel like we're watching a power struggle play out in real time.
Yeah.
And the stakes are incredibly high. Powerful figures operating in secret, programs that could save lives hanging in the balance,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of questions that nobody's answering. It's like we're living in some kind of political thriller, you know?
Yeah.
We started with this crazy headline about Elon Musk shutting down USAID, and now we're down this rabbit hole of security breaches, missing social media. Like, is America's global development effort about to, like, completely unravel?
It's a really good example of how quickly things can change and how important it is to really pay attention to these shifts in power. You know what I mean? Things are happening, decisions are being made that have global consequences, and it's all happening without any transparency.
It's almost like a coup, right?
Right.
Like inside the government, with these unelected people calling all the shots, and it's affecting millions of people around the world, and it's all happening so fast without any like public discussion. It's wild.
That's what's so alarming about this whole thing, you know? In a democracy, we're supposed to have open debate, discussion about these major changes.
Yeah.
But here it's like everything's happening behind closed doors. And the people who are going to be most affected, they don't even have a say.
So, what can we like? What can we do as just regular people? What can we do to push back? Is there any way to hold these people accountable and make sure that these decisions aren't being made without thinking about the consequences?
Well, the first thing is we got to stay informed, right? This story's not over, and we can't let it just disappear. We got to keep our eyes on it, keep asking questions, and demand that our leaders that they're honest with us.
So don't just scroll past the headlines. Like, actually dig in, try to understand what's going on,
Yeah.
and talk to people about it.
Exactly. And don't forget, like, your voice matters.
Yeah.
You can call your elected officials, tell them what you think, let them know that you're paying attention.
We can't just sit back and be passive. We got to be a part of shaping the future.
Absolutely. This isn't just about USAID. It's about what kind of country we want to be.
Yeah.
What role do we want to play in the world, Do we want to be the kind of country that turns inward and just focuses on ourselves? Or do we want to be a country that takes responsibility for what's happening globally and tries to make a difference?
This deep dive, wow. This has been a wild ride. We started with what seemed like this crazy headline,
I know, right?
and we uncovered this whole web of secrets and power struggles, and the consequences could be huge. I mean, honestly, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's a reminder that democracy is fragile.
Hmm.
And we gotta participate. We can't be complacent, especially when decisions are being made that affect everyone.
And we've only scratched the surface. There's still so much we don't know.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, the future of USA, maybe even America's place in the world, it's all hanging in the balance.
It's a story that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah, we do. We'll be sure to include links to all the sources we talked about today in the show notes,
Hmm.
so you can, dig in and make up your own mind.
Remember, knowledge is power. The more we know about what's going on, the better prepared we are to deal with all this craziness.
Yeah.
And to make our voices heard.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.